Hello, I'm Spooty Biscuit,
I'm RoyalGoof.
and we'll be commentating our AGDQ 2020 submission for Cadence of Hyrule Single Character Cadence. This is intended to be part of a bid war between the other single character mode runs, Single Character Zelda and Single Character Link. If you don't want to run a bid war, we would suggest checking out the story mode run instead, as that is the kind of default category, and doesn't offer much of a difference between the single character runs. Yeah, single character, the character choice seems like it would make for a good donation war, so we're offering single character mode, Link, Cadence, and Zelda as an option for that. This will work well as a race or a standalone run. If we are doing it as a race, we'll be playing in seeded mode. Normally, we just use a randomly generated number to use as the seed, but another opportunity for donation incentive or donation war. If we do a race, we'll need a seed, and it can be any alphanumeric characters, so it could be a donation war for the seed we'd be using as well. We would be running it blind regardless, as on-the-fly routing and such is kind of the point of these runs. But that's all I have to say about the intro. I think we're about ready to start, so yeah, Goof, I will be starting playback in 3, 2, 1, go.
Cadence starts in the same starts at Link's house, same as Link, although she starts in front of the Sheikah Stone as opposed to his house. And we enter the cave there to get the shovel and torch, as well as kill the Octorok so that we have fixed beat movement, and then go back into the house to get the telescope to allow us to see more overworld time map.
So yeah, as a character, Cadence shares the most similarities with Link. She uses a shield on her R button, just does not have any like special the special magic attacks like Zelda does. But she does use the dagger as her starting weapon instead of the short sword. Link's short sword deals some knockback on hit, while the daggers do not. Other special traits she's got the shovel strike as her L ability instead of the spin attack on Link. You probably won't see that get used much. And yeah, starting at Link's house means that the starting location is a little non-central to the overworld as a whole compared to Zelda, which can result in a little bit of extra travel time, but it's usually not too big of a deal.
Yeah, both of us got the loot at that first Lost Woods cave, which allows us to teleport to Sheikah Stones, and I went for the second one in Lake Hylia, which gives me the Shovel Strike. The Shovel Strike, Cadence will strike her shovel into the ground and attack or stun and deal 1 damage to enemies in its path.
Yeah, it's a little bit cumbersome to use, though. Not much less flexible than Link, and isn't a heavy, high damage hit like Link's spin attack, so that's why not likely to see it used too much. There are some niche scenarios where it might be helpful, though. I think you might see Goof use it sometimes in this run.
Making my way towards the Hyrule Castle bridge, so I can hit the Sheikah Stone here for later, and also pick up the Bomb Chew, which I'm going to be using later on for this Robo boss fight.
Yeah, Bomb Chews are very useful for boss kills, as you can throw them into the arena before the fight starts to get some early damage, so it's good to get Bomb Chews into your inventory as soon as possible. And yeah, the Sheikah Stone in front of the Hyrule Castle Bridge, good to activate because you will have to return there later in the endgame to get to the final dungeons. Something worth noting that's different about single character modes is in story mode, you do have to visit Kakariko and complete the Kakariko Crypt for the Hibiscus Potion to wake up the other of the two characters you don't start the game with, Link or Zelda. But since this is a single character run, the ability to swap characters mid-run is completely removed, and dungeons are tweaked accordingly so that they can be completed with only one character. And that means we don't need to visit Kakariko Crypt at all.
I do visit Kakariko Village to hit the warp for later. This is so I need to. I am looking for a certain set piece on the overworld. It is the Goron shop. I hit it for later in case I need to look for it if it's not on the way to other dungeons.
Yeah, the Goron shop is where you get the Goron locket, an important item for the Gerudo Ruins dungeon later. Otherwise, if you don't have that or a set of hover boots, you're forced to go into a bunch of caves full of enemies surrounding the dungeon to collect gears to raise a bridge. It's very time-consuming, so if you can get a way to skip it, you absolutely want to do so.
Now both of us are making our way to Gerudo Desert or Gerudo Village, doing the music puzzle here. This will grant us the Power Glove.
Yeah, interesting little thing to see that we took completely different routes to get up there, but I arrived there at about the same time. The Power Glove is going to be useful for some dungeon skips, and also for a little bug we call item duping. It's exactly what it sounds like on the tin. If there's a pot or a bush or anything like that with an item in it, if you throw it against a wall and then attack it before it lands, you can get it to break open twice and provide twice the number of items. Use it back there to get 2 bombs out of that one pot. And picking up a glass spear here. Glass weapons are random drops from enemies. And they are the strongest type in the game damage-wise. They deal 3 damage on attack. But if you take any damage, they break. So high risk, high reward, basically.
See both of us go for the titanium dagger, which is a +1 damage. Very nice little thing there.
Yeah, titanium dagger is just a reliable source of damage. It's just a 2 damage dagger. Obviously not as good as that glass spear we were just carrying, but it's a good fallback if the spear gets broken.
I am now making my way towards Death Mountain, or at least going for the Windmill Hut warp for later on.
And yeah, I did a little sequence break there to despawn the wind turbine, blocking what is intended to be a one-way path, and enter Temple of Storms without having to cross the entirety of Death Mountain. Saves quite a bit of time to be able to do that.
Oh yes, so this is a fairy fountain. I end up killing all of the enemies here. Fairy fountains will give you a choice of 2 weapon types. And obsidian and titanium weapon types will usually cost 8 diamonds. So I am hitting that early on and saving it for later when I do have enough diamonds and also have a base weapon that I can use.
And I get tripped up there. I was expecting the Beery to move away, but gets blocked by a key, so I attack an electrocuted Beery and break my glass spear, so it's pretty unfortunate. Going for a kill on the shopkeeper Freddy here, Freddy Merchantry. He's got some boots of power, but I don't have the money to afford it, so I definitely want those. Also going to grab the coupon for later. We mentioned earlier that skipping the entrance to Gerudo Mines requires either the Goron Locket or a pair of hover boots. And the Goron Locket costs a whopping 200 rupees, so it's good to have that coupon to get it for free instead.
Now, there's some divergence in this run. I am doing Frozen Grotto first. Smoothie is doing Temple of Storms. I skipped the first floor there by pushing that ice block and then grabbing it as I'm sliding, and when you grab it, it will allow you to stop sliding, allow you to get to the second floor. I also killed the shopkeeper here to get the coupon for the Goron Locket.
And kind of a funny layout there for me. Gold chest blocking the most efficient route to get to the exit. So I just open it, hope that it has a good weapon type in it, and unfortunately it has a longsword, which is Link only. So yeah, just kind of wasting a key there. Not entirely wasted, though. It did save me the time of walking all the way around that chest in that pit.
And this is a challenge room for the boss key. Usually that little that snowflake will come up and you can actually bounce off of him to skip this entire sequence, but sometimes the Wolfos will get in the way, so I actually have to do this entire challenge room here.
Yeah,
boss key for this dungeon.
it's pretty time-consuming, unfortunately, but I'm able to get the flawless victory on Gliokenspiel. If you can defeat a boss without without dropping a beat, or without taking any damage, you get a choice of a random temporary item in the red chest, a random basic weapon in the blue chest, or 5 diamonds. With the Torch of Wisdom, I can even see what's in those chests, and I can see that's a Great Shovel in the blue chest, which Great Shovel is Cadence's unique weapon type. Most unique weapon types are pretty good. The Longsword for Link and the Rapier for Zelda are pretty good. Cadence's Great Shovel, not so much. So I just like to take the key out of the red chest. Keys are important, and it does kind of, give me a refund for spending my key on a useless longsword chest earlier.
Yeah, I did a quick kill on Wizrobo there, where I threw a bomb shoe into the arena, and then as I was sliding into the arena, I planted a bomb and then grabbed it, threw it at him, and we'll kill him before the fight starts.
Yeah, that's due to a slight bug that causes, if there are 2 different sources of explosive damage within each other's radius, one of those will explode twice and deal double damage, because explosive damage all does 3, but Wizrobo has 8 health, so 2 explosive sources of damage wouldn't be enough on their own, but when it's counted as 3, it works out. So I'm actually getting pretty good value out of the Ring of Charisma here, which cuts all shop prices in half, saving me quite a bit of money here.
Alright, now I am going for the Death Mountain skip here. Ended up breaking my glass ring, which I just picked up. I believe I do this a little differently. I actually go up here, plant a bomb to the left, and then as the bomb explodes, I move forward into the screen transition. This actually, it'll boost me up to like a higher spot and allow me to just walk over the wind turbines like that. And then I do a skip here for this first floor of Temple of Storms, where I pivot myself with the shield, or break those 2 pots, plant a bomb, and then use the shield to pivot myself, and then grab the pot as I get knocked back by the bomb, throwing it onto the switch.
You also see me doing the same Wizrobo quick kill here, just throwing a bomb in. Spear out of the blue chest, not very good weapon type. The main weapon type, base weapon you're looking for out of a boss is a flail. Since flails allow you to move and attack at the same time, they're valuable for speedruns. Spears just give you a little bit of extra forward reach compared to a dagger. And considering the amount of time I'd have to spend to infuse it to do more than 1 damage, I just decided to get the new pair of Boots of Power. Boots of Power giving +1 damage, but losing a little bit of durability every time I take a step, so gotta be careful with that.
I'm getting the hover boots here. They're a little helpful for this boss key room. I actually kill all the enemies here since I realize I have 6 diamonds and I need 8 for that weapon infuse from the fairy fountain I mentioned earlier. That now puts me at 8 since I didn't drop a beat or take a hit in that room. Now I'm on to Gliokenspiel. Throw 3 bomb shoes into the arena, and that will destroy those 2 middle heads immediately. And then I also plant 3 bombs here to destroy the other 2, as well as do damage to the body, and then get the flawless. I end up getting a broadsword, switch back to the titanium dagger because I'm not quite content with it.
And once again, I get the flawless on the base Guitarmos Knight fight there. Pretty easy to do with the really high damage glass flail with the Boots of Power. But still have the Torch of Wisdom and can see what's in those chests, and it's another spear. Still not interested in getting a spear, so I just take the diamonds, take the 50 rupees, excuse me, and move on. So now I'm going through the Lost Woods to approach the last of the main 4 dungeons, the Lost Swamp. Navigating through this is just a matter of looking at the direction the stronger enemy type came from and heading that way. If you go the wrong way at any point, you go back to the first screen, so it's pretty time-consuming. Got to pay attention to that.
I ended up going infusing the spear, so now I have a titanium spear, and me finishing up Gerudo Ruins. I'm able to just I was able to skip the first floor by just swimming in the lava since I have the Goron Rocket and Zora Flippers.
Yeah, the combination of Goron Locket, which gives you immunity to heat-based hazards, the hot coals and the lava damage, and the Flippers, which lets you swim through water and lava, lets you just swim through the moat on that floor and bypass the need for those gears. I also swapped to the Glass Slippers a little while ago. They give the same additional damage that the Boots of Power do, but also give immunity to floor hazards like shallow water, hot coals, and poison water. They do break if you take damage, though, so I do have to be careful about that, about not getting hit here. But high damage flail makes for a pretty fast Gomaraka's fight, and I get yet another spear out of the blue chest, so I guess I'm just committing to the glass flail here as I head into the endgame with all 4 instruments. I'm ready to go into Hyrule Castle.
Figure a little thing I'd mentioned about the base Guitarmos Knights fight is that I threw a bomb to the right, and then you can also do this by throwing it to the left, and then pick it up, throw it into the arena, and it'll still move in the direction you threw it in. So I was able to deal some damage to one of the little Guitarmos Knights before the fight started. It's doesn't save too much time, but it's a little thing. And now I am starting Lost Swamp. I do this skip here, where I pick up this block and throw it on the switch. Now I'm on to Lost Swamp.
You have to be very careful as I'm going through Hyrule Castle. It's one of the more challenging dungeons in the run. And with the flail range, Hyrule Castle introduces the bomb fairies, which will explode when attacked, but heal you if they touch you. And flail has a pretty wide range, so if you're not careful, you can unexpectedly hit a bomb fairy and blow up in your face. So gotta be very careful with that.
Got the boss key in Lost Swamp. Moving on to Gomarakas.
And I spot an extra glass flail there, but break my current glass flail trying to get to it, and my glass slippers as well. So a little unfortunate.
My Gomarakas fight is a little slower here, since I only have 2 damage. Also, kind of get a little confused with the beat drops there. As you can see, those Goma larvas start to spawn. And, you can get pretty overwhelmed, but I'm able to take care of them without a problem. And now I am on to Hyrule Castle.
So yeah, breaking my glass flail there, but thankfully getting a glass spear to still have 3 damage for this Octavio fight. If you have a way to deal 5 damage in one hit, that's ideal for the Octavio fight, but don't have a way to do so here. Getting a little unlucky there, and all of Octavio's fireballs hitting himself after the teleport. The fireballs don't deal damage to him, but will force him to teleport to a new location, and teleport's pretty far away pretty consistently there. The most dangerous part of this fight is definitely the Glyakenspiel phase. Spawns diagonally moving Glyak heads that can be pretty tough to avoid if you're not careful.
I also get a glass flail from the one of those ball and chain guards. I believe there's a little bit of a misread here. I think that the exit is, or the door is that way, but it is not. It's actually up here.
So I get unlucky there and get trapped between the fireballs, and yeah, these Guitarmos Knights can just randomly decide to do an AoE attack surrounding themselves, and that results in me breaking my glass, but thankfully towards the end of the fight, and final phase with 6 HP here, we'll go down to just 2 bombs. So just throw a second bomb there and finish Octavio off as Goof finishes off the Hyrule Castle dungeon and heads into the Octavio fight himself.
Yeah, that Dark Nut arena was a little easier with the a little faster with the hover boots, since I was just able to walk over the gaps.
And so yeah, I begin Future Hyrule here, which is probably the hardest part of the run, other than maybe the Ganon fight. Just a huge mishmash of all of the dungeons up to this point, with unique combinations of enemies that you don't have to fight together normally. Can make for some very messy situations if you're not careful. So spotting this glass broadsword, going to go on my way for it to make sure that I still have damage output. The titanium dagger will get you through the dungeon, but having the extra damage is definitely valuable.
I end up getting snagging on a Wizrobe there and losing my glass spear. Since I have a glass flail, I'm still able to two-shot Octavio phases with relative ease. Getting some kind of bad teleports there, but it is fun.
And I pick up a glass great shovel there. For the most part, it's essentially like a glass broadsword, except it can also target diggable walls, which is honestly more often than not to a detriment, since it means you just get snagged on walls when you're trying to just move through, like you're seeing a little bit here. But yeah, pretty smooth future Hyrule. Don't break any of the glass, and I'm on to the Ganon fight.
I'm also going through the first floor of Future Hyrule, getting a Ring of Courage, which will allow me to give me an invincibility dash to my attack. It can be pretty fast if you use it correctly.
And I unfortunately get kind of a bad starting spawn there with the sarcophagus right at the start, kind of messing up my setup. And another sarcophagus. Sarcophagus are definitely the enemy type you want Ganon to spawn the least, so really unlucky for me to get them on the first 2 cycles.
This last Future Hyrule layout is a little weird.
And yeah, yet another sarcophagus, so I'm getting really bad luck on these spawns. Sarcophagus just consistently put out additional enemies, which make them pretty dangerous and a recurring threat. Managed to get the 1 bomb there, though, and get Ganon down to 1 heart.
I'm able to catch up a little bit here, since Sprudy is having a little bit of trouble in the Ganon fight. You can end up getting 2 damage there with the bomb. Managed to get the timing down, and now I'm also onto the second phase.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm getting some nasty spawns that are keeping me from landing hits where I need to. Longsword unexpectedly hitting Ganon there. I was waiting for him to jump, and I just accidentally hit him. Meanwhile, he's still continuing to spawn sarcophagi pretty much every cycle, just to make the fight even messier. But finally get through to phase 2. Just throw a bomb shoe there to try and get rid of one of the sarcophagi.
I also got into a pretty nasty position there where I was on half a heart, but thankfully I had a need scroll, and when you are low on health, you do get a fairy from the need scroll. So I was able to get that.
Sending a bomb shoe there across the map to free Link, and yeah, finishing up the Ganon fight and finishing the run, and Goof just behind by a matter of seconds. And that's going to be a finish 2014 in-game time for me, and a 2019 in-game time for Goof. Just a 5-second difference, so a very close race.
Yeah, the Ganon fight ended up being very nasty for you.
Yeah, it really showcases just how much a race in this game can be. It's very much not over until it's over. Entering the Ganon fight with a pretty large lead, but just some bad spawns really delaying the finish and allowing Goof to keep it really close. So, pretty exciting race. Once again, as a reminder, I would recommend that if you accept this category, you accept it as a donation war with the other single character runs, the single character Link and single character Zelda run. They're all pretty similar categories and would make for, with their own unique little differences, but would make for a pretty good war and be a pretty good showcase of the game as well. And if you don't want a donation war on the category, then I would recommend checking out the story mode run, which is the default category and what our last major tournament, Kahoot 3, was run with. But that's going to be it for this submission. And yeah, Goof, thanks for helping with the co-commentary.
You're welcome.
And thanks for watching. Bye-bye.